Welcome back from the break, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. If you've just tuned in, we are still doing your exam guide in preps for your upcoming exams. If you're someone who's constantly running out of data, then this next competition is definitely for you. Wazometrics is bringing you #WazoWinner competition, where 2 Matrix stand a chance to win 2 gigs of data. So what are you waiting for, guys? Hop on over to our Facebook page and enter the competition. Not more time wasted, let's go straight to Sia.
All right, welcome back, guys, from the ad break. So right now I'm going to be looking at some tips for solving equations that are in trigonometry, and also just tips in preparation for paper 2. I know that we all study differently, we all practice differently, but these are just general things that we want you to please pay attention to in preparation for your exam and in solving certain questions under the paper 2. Now let's look at it. So the very first tip that we are saying is, when you're preparing for your paper 2, practice the skills that you learned in earlier grades. What do I mean? Using a calculator in stats mode. I think I spoke about this when we were talking about statistics and the least regression line. You need to know how to use your calculator in stats mode. And one thing for sure I should caution you is, please refrain from using the on button when you want to clear the screen. Always use the AC, which means all clear. So if you are in stats mode, don't touch the on button. Just always use the all clear button if you want to clear your screen and you want to do something on the screen, please. And then also, you need to learn how to substitute into the formula and also writing geometric proofs. When I'm talking about substituting into the formula, if you are using maybe a sine rule formula, make sure you indicate what the angle A is and what the angle B is, what the side A is and what the side B is, in order for you, when you're substituting, you can then substitute the correct values, please. So don't just go straight to the formula and want to substitute. No, write down what those values are and then substitute accordingly, please. And then also, when you're preparing for paper 2, make sure that you revise and learn facts about each topic. Now, when I'm talking about each topic, I'm saying make summary notes, guys, especially of theorems. Most of you get these questions incorrect, where they say complete the following statement. Remember, if they say complete the following statement, it simply means that's a theorem that you need to make sure that you understand in order to apply it. And one of the things I need to also tell you is, most of the time when the first question says complete a statement, it means the subsequent questions are going to use that theorem that you actually completed there. So please pay attention to that. Make note of all your theorems. Try to understand what they are all about. Look at the links between the theorems. Don't cram them. No. Understand the links so that even when it is not shown in the way that you are used to, you can still see the link and understand what they are asking you. And then also, familiarize yourself with the formula sheet. I can't stress this enough. Paper 2, a formula sheet is your friend. Why? Because most of the double angles and the compound angles, they are there in your information sheet. So you don't necessarily need to spend so much time trying to memorize that cos of A plus B is equals to what. No, you don't need to do that. You just need to know how to apply it and when to apply it. And then always use your formula sheet. Remember, as you get to the exam, detach the information sheet, put it on the side, and work with it there, because you don't want to always go back to the end of the question paper in order to see the formulas that are given. So detach it, put it on the side, and work with it. But remember, you need to leave everything in the exam room when you leave the venue. So you're not taking anything with you when you leave the exam room, except for your stationery and your timetable, for that matter. And also, remember to break up the sections into manageable parts using links between those parts. Use colors and highlighters to group similar ideas. highlighters and colors, they come in handy, especially when you are doing Euclidean geometry, because you need to show that the red means all those angles are equal, and then maybe on the red you then add a blue. The blue would mean it's now equal to that because of a certain property. So you see, that's where your colors comes in. So please try and invest in at least 3 different colors that you can use in an exam situation and also while preparing for your exam. And then when you're also preparing for paper 2, talk to another grade 12 learner. Remember, it doesn't need to be an actual friend that you have, because some of us have friends that are not in grade 12. So just talk to somebody that is doing maths and explain certain concepts that you understand and certain questions that you understand. Remember, one example that I can make is with a song. For you to understand a song, you always need to sing along with the song in the background until you understand it and you know the lyrics. But as you are busy practicing the song, wherever you don't know, you always hum the song. But as soon as you know it, you can sing from word to word until you are done. Similarly with this, the more you talk about maths, the more you will understand what you are doing. The more you explain how you got to an answer, the more you will understand how to go about solving a certain question. Please stop saying, I'm shy, I can't talk to anybody. You definitely can explain yourself, especially if you understand what you are talking about. So please make sure that you talk to someone. Even if it's not somebody who's doing maths at school, you can talk to your family. Just say, can I explain something? I understand this. And go about explaining it so that you can talk more about it, which in turn will make you understand it way, way better. And then also, apply what you have learned by doing past papers. Go over a lot of past papers and apply what you have learned. And then the last thing would be plan how you're going to answer the question paper in order to boost your confidence. Guys, there is no need for you to start with question 1, 2, 3, etc., etc. You can start with question 12 and go to question 2 and go to question 8. But what you need to do there, remember I said, you need to number them according to how the question paper has numbered them. So you start each question on a new page. If you start with 12, make sure you answer the whole of question 12. You go to question 2, answer the whole of question 2. Question 8, you answer the whole of question 8. So what this means is you start with the questions that you can easily understand and you can answer easily. So it's a variation with a lot of us, but stats, you normally can understand that. So just do your stats, get it out of the way. Analytical geometry, especially the grade 11 one, most of us can do that. Go to analytical geometry, answer it. Trigonometry, also go to the questions that you understand better, do the question, answer it, and complete it. And then go to the questions that maybe you do not understand better. Remember that one thing that plays against you is your confidence when answering the questions. Guys, you know how nice it is when you get things right. So start with the things you can get right so that you have motivation to go do the things that are a bit challenging for you. Now, we're going to look at a concept that we found to be a problem over the years from the past papers, and that was trigonometric expressions, equations, and identities. Guys, remember, when we talk about identities, we're not only talking about sine squared theta plus cos squared theta is equals to 1, or tan theta is equals to sine theta over cos theta. No. Even the grade 12 identities, you please need to know them and know how to apply them. That is your double angles and your compound angles. But remember, you don't need to cram them. You just need to know how to apply them and when to apply them, because they will be given to you in the information sheet, which I said needs to be your friend when you are practicing and when you get to the exam. Now, let's just look at this. You need to revise the definitions of the ratios for triangles and the Cartesian plane. The two triangles will be when it is a right-angled triangle. So when it's a right-angled triangle and when it is a non-right-angled triangle. You know that with a right-angled triangle, I can use my ratios, I can use the theorem of Pythagoras. With the non-right-angled triangles, I use the rules like your area rule, sine rule, and cosine rule. Also use your reduction formulae and identities to simplify expressions. I think most of us, we know this thing here where they say cast, meaning cos is only positive in the fourth quadrant, all ratios are positive in the first quadrant, sine is positive in the second quadrant, and tan is positive in the third quadrant. So make sure that you locate the reduction formulae according to the Cartesian planes and according to the cast diagram in order for it to make sense, please. And then also make sure that you know how to solve trig equations, including the general solution. Remember I said reference angle is our most important thing under general solutions. And then with identities, now I just explained right now that when you talk about identities, it's not only your grade 11 identities. Even your grade 12 identities, they come in handy. What am I talking about? You need to know how to manipulate. If maybe you have sine as the dominant ratio, it means you need to try and change the cos, but you need to make sure that it's cos squared theta in order for you to use an identity. So those are just few examples that I can throw out there for you to please remember, especially when solving identities. And then we're going to look at a specific question now where I'm going to try and explain these concepts that I've just mentioned. So they want us to simplify. Simplify, let's understand what that means first. Simplify means we don't want to see tan. So tan theta or tan x, you don't want to see that as your final answer. Unless your final answer is sine over cos, then you leave it as tan. But while solving, tan must be done away with using the identities. That's what simplify means. Also, simplify means if you are given angles, reduce the angles such that they are all smaller than 90 degrees, meaning they are your special angles. So those are the things that we mean when we say simplify. Let's look at this and actually make sense of what I mean. So here I'm giving sine x over cos x multiplied by tan x. There's going to be two ways of doing this, right? The very first way will be if you separate the two things, right? So you would need to separate the two. Separate the two, it means I have sine of x over cos of x multiplied by 1 over tan of x. And then this will lead to tan x over 1 multiplied by 1 over tan x. And then automatically you can see that this is actually going to be equal to 1 because the tan x and the tan x are going to divide each other. Or one other way would be if you first change the tan x to be equals to sine x over your cos x. So what do I mean? This is going to be sine x over cos x multiplied by sine x over cos x. And then you can already see there from that question that the cos and the cos by the denominator will divide and you'll be left with sine over sine, which automatically is 1. If you solve that, because if you divide something that is exactly the same as what you are dividing by, your answer is always 1. And please stay away from using the language it cancels out, because most of you, when you say cancel out, your answer becomes 0 and not 1, because mentally, you know, when something cancels out with something, there is nothing left there. So just try and use the correct language, divide and not really cancel. Now, let's apply this into a more bigger question. So it says, simplify the following expression into one trigonometric term. Your trigonometric term can be sine, can be cos, or it can be tan. Now, you know that from the previous question that we did, we got that as 1. So I don't really need to be looking at that because we already know that that is equal to 1. And this will be plus. Now, firstly, I look at what 180 degrees plus means. It means that we are dealing with from 180 going to the third quadrant. So we are locating the sign in the third quadrant. What do I know there? Sign is negative in the third quadrant. And therefore that makes it negative sign x. Multiply by 90 minus is in the first quadrant. Remember, all of them are positive, so my answer will be a positive. But because of the 90 plus or minus, the ratio will change to its co-function. So let's just remind ourselves. The co-function of sine is cos, the co-function of cos is sine, and the co-function of tan is cot. But we hardly give you the co-function of tan because we don't do cot when we get to grade 12. So this means this will actually be sine of x. And therefore, this will then be equal to 1 minus sine squared x. And this becomes cos squared x as our answer. And then that's about it, guys, for the first segment. I hope that clears out a few things that you need to look at, especially with expressions, equations, and your graphs. I will see you guys after the ad break, and we'll hand over to Luni just now. I will see you just now.
Thank you so much, Sia. Guys, we are going to take a break, but don't forget to hit us up on all our socials, Was the Matrix, and on the WhatsApp line. If you have any questions, send them through and we'll assist you. We'll see you shortly after the break.